Hola a todos, estoy aquí para comunicaros que
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Summers, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Ready?
similar position is Iga Swiatek.
Yeah.
She's coming in with no matches since the US Open.
Right.
She's coming in with a brand new coach.
Yep.
And she's just lost the number one ranking.
Which, by the way, even took Arena by surprise. I don't know if you've seen some comments from Arena today saying that she didn't even know she was going to be number one that week.
I don't think anyone did. I think this rule is very last minute. But anyway, I didn't see the comments, which is that is funny and very good of Arena for saying.
Yeah. She also said that she would like to sort of be this is Arena saying this, and I don't think it probably matters quite as much to Iga because she's obviously been there for such a long time and been so many year-end number ones, or has at least done it a couple of times. Whereas Arena said that she would like to rubber stamp the number one by doing it by winning on a tennis court, if you like. So I think she would like to win. This is Arena would like to win some matches and ultimately be year-end number one. Before she feels as though I really feel as though I am the world number one. She's obviously been world number one on 2 separate occasions, and I'm going to guess collectively for around about 10 or 15 weeks. If you want to get yourself some water, Nick, do feel free to go get yourself some water. Oh, you got some. If you need more, then do so. But yeah, funny enough, we're 45 minutes into the show, and we've touched on, women's tennis and coaching changes and world number ones and injuries and not playing and past winners, and yet we hadn't really touched upon Iga in a big way, and now we will do. And she's the second favorite going into this tournament, which isn't often the case. It's often that she's a clear favorite when it comes to the clay, and pretty much most clay court tournaments, maybe with the exception of Madrid. And also hard courts, it tends to be that depending on the speed and all sorts of things. But to me, she's a clear second favorite, if you like. I've not heard many people suggest that she's ahead of Arena in those stakes.
No, I haven't seen that either. I think a lot of us were waiting to see what the court speeds were like. I think it's very interesting, Iga's practice choices for this tournament, because she's practiced with Zheng Qinwen, she's practiced with Arina Sabalenka. Now,
is that a choice, or actually, to be honest with you, most of those practices would have happened before the draw. But you would think that post draw anyway, the players are probably not going to want to practice.
I think she practiced with Sabalenka yesterday.
Right, so that would have been pre-draw then, I guess.
But I think
you would have known she's not going to be in the same group.
There's a possibility that I think look, if they did know about it, then actually it's sensible for her to practice with people in the other group because she's not giving away too much. To her immediate opponents.
And she knows she's not going to be in the same group as Arena, so that might well have been. And by the way, when you say choices, I'm sure there are some choices involved, but probably the organisers also, there
was no one watching, so it wasn't like they were trying to sell tickets.
Right. Although we have seen some glimpses of those two. Did Iga step on her phone or something? I don't know if you've seen this.
Oh yeah, no, that's a TikTok thing.
Yeah, but did you? But there was a comment from Arena. Iga's like, oh. And then Arena's like, "Don't worry, I'm getting a new one when I get home or something."
Okay.
So I don't know if
she overdid it.
I haven't seen the exact. So I think they're looking down at the phone. But there was a moment when I think she just sort of touched it with her foot, and Iga was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." But Anyway,
that sounds about right. There's a bit of goofing around, but I'm playing 2 of the biggest hitters on the quickest court. On a quick court, that's something to give her some useful gauging for when she potentially.
What do we think about Iga's group, Nick, in particular? Because obviously I've spoken about this already yesterday.
I think if I was picking, if you were going to pick Iga's group for her, it doesn't really matter which one she picks as the 3 of the 4 because she's got really good head-to-heads with Goff and Paolini.
Agree.
Out of Pegula and Rybakina, she would have preferred Pegula.
But yes. Or maybe you're more convinced than I, but just because of that Pegula win in New York.
Yeah, I think she's got more. I think Pegula would still be less of a challenge.
True. Pegula as well as beaten on a quick court in Australia before
Australia,
the
Dubai, USA. But yeah, no, but the speeds even it out. Pegula's the biggest threat to her right now, depending on how Krejcikova is fitness-wise.
Yeah.
So Pegula, but like, I feel like it evens it out, but Iga still has the advantage if she's playing well. Krejcikova is the interesting. Krejcikova as Young is the tricky one because obviously Young's got a win against her in the Olympics. Krejcikova has beaten her a couple of times in their career. I maybe would have picked Young but it's as a preference, but it's really tight. So
the problem with Zheng and the positive with Barbora, if you're eager and you're going for which one you think you'd have a better chance. The problem for Barbora is again, she just hasn't played much.
Yeah.
But if everything was normal and equal, then I probably would go Zheng. But probably because I'm seeing Zheng play so much tennis and get better throughout the year. I mean, obviously she's won an Olympic gold medal, which doesn't count one single point in terms of her being there. But it's just great that we've got the gold medalist there too. But yeah, I might just you're going to go slightly towards Zheng, and if Iga was to handpick her group,
because of historic head-to-heads. I'm going off historic head-to-heads and matchups
I get it.
rather than form. Now so I think she probably got the slightly better. She's gonna get as good a group as she could have hoped for, to be honest. It's not going to be easy, I don't think. But I don't think it's that difficult. But I don't think I think it's the better option for her right now. And I definitely think that she's going to go in feeling fairly confident about getting through, probably in first place, depending how the Pegula match goes. Because Pegula is probably the biggest problem for her out of her 3 opponents. So I see her getting through. But here's where I see Iga at the minute is she's coming in at the minute. She's second favorite. She's not played, but that could be seen as an advantage for her because she wanted that recovery period. She's going to get kind of that new coach bounce from win for set. Even if she doesn't do very well, it's a fantastic data gathering exercise for set and Iga to work out what works, what doesn't, what he's seeing from her first hand against her main rivals. And so however she does is going to build very well for 2025. So I think she's coming in with a little bit like the pressure's off. Maybe she wants to target getting number 1 back, but it's not the end of the world if she doesn't, because she's not threatening losing number 2.
Yeah,
that's how I would see anyway if I wasn't her team.
The chances of her getting number 1 are quite slim. So in a way, that also alleviates the pressure a little bit.
Yeah, she needs.
It's not like it's 50-50
tournament.
Yeah, she'd have to have a great tournament and Irene have a bad one. A slight tangent, but it might well bring us to our next player in a way. Who?
Ready? Play.
Good lunchtime, as it is for Kira and I. We are 1 hour time zone apart. But how are you doing, Kira? All right?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Now I'm unmuted, which is, despite doing this for 2.5 years, is still generally how I begin the show, on mute. But nevertheless, yeah, looking forward to this one. Of course, both of these two players lost their first matches, albeit in very different circumstances. What did you make of the Krejcikova-Swiatek match, which was 48 hours ago. And of course, for those of you who aren't aware, Swiatek was down a set and a double break before coming back to win that match.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Krejcikova played the first set incredibly well, but and of course the first bit of the second set. But it was hard to tell how much of it was Swiatek sort of taking control and how much of it was Krejcikova sort of falling apart a little bit. I think it was probably partly physically that Krejcikova struggled, as well as just with Swiatek. I think the main thing is Iga probably, got her forehand in a few more times, and Krejcikova had to move more and couldn't because she was struggling physically.
The death knell was being put on her forehand at various points on Twitter during the match. I saw some people, fans, even some maybe sort of journalists, experts, whatever, were all saying, wow, goodbye the forehand of Iga and hello, a win for Barbora, which of course is how it was looking after a set and a half. I did think that once she got that first break back, so I think it was now 3-2, I'm going to guess, at the change of ends, and Barbora's about to serve, and I'm seeing Iga with her eyes closed in that sort of, listen, I need to try and get in the zone here and try and find my inner Rafa almost in terms of, coming back from the jaws of defeat. And that's exactly what she did. I think you're right in terms of Barbora fading. I think there's sort of 3 or 4 players that coming into this tournament, Barbora being one of them, who just really haven't played a huge amount of tennis lately. Now, Iga has not played a lot of tennis either, but hers was more kind of, listen, I need to chill out. I need to recuperate. Yeah. There was some other issues going on that she sort of didn't talk about too much. But for Barbora, it was more, and I can see her, she's got a sleeve on today, which I don't know if she was wearing that on Sunday. But for Barbora, it was kind of fitness issues, but more in terms of trying to get some matches under her belt. And I think that did play its part, whereas Iga sort of probably needed the reps more than, having a lingering issue like Barbora has had. But of course, Barbora has been a problem for Iga in the past, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I didn't go into it with a sort of big Swiatek's going to find this no challenge at all. It was sort of an interesting matchup at the stage that they're both at physically, and how many matches they played recently. I do think it could have gone either way, and it's just more about that staying power than anything else.
Yeah, right. I mean, the head-to-head before Sunday's encounter was 2 each. It's now gone 3-2, although I'm just checking the WTA website and they haven't yet updated it. But fingers crossed they do get that update at some point. Mind you, at least they do have it on there in its 2-2 in terms of the fact I looked at one particular head-to-head. In fact, I think it might have been this one. And it was 0-0 the other day, which suggested that they'd never even played each other. And neither of them even had a ranking. In fact, right now, Iga still doesn't have a ranking, at least according to this element. So don't show that to Iga, or she might be panicking ahead of her match later on today. Talking of Coco Gauff and Iga, Coco, of course, got a win against Jessica Pegula. First of all, what do you make of Coco's start to this tournament? And secondly, what do you make of her chances against somebody like Iga later on today, where, of course, notoriously she has a pretty bad head-to-head? I think it's 11-1.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't surprised by Gauff's sort of easy win over Pegula yesterday, despite their sort of a little bit crooked head-to-head.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised because I feel like even if she's not been, really motoring through tournaments and winning everything or whatever, I do feel like I've seen a change in Gauff since her change in coach. Okay. There is something that I'm seeing that feels different, where, not every match, but quite a lot of the time, I feel like she looks more dominant rather than scrappy, which I know we've sort of talked about her before. But I wasn't surprised about the Pegula. In terms of her chances against Iga, I also wouldn't be surprised if she was far more in that match later, especially if Iga plays like she did yesterday. I think Gauff might really have a good chance, actually.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't know their head-to-head, and I'm just going to remind everyone, it's 11-1 in favour of Iga. Again, this head-to-head I'm showing on the screen right now hasn't been updated. It's now 4-2. But you're absolutely right. It sort of did suggest that that Pegula would be the hot favourite. But you were right in thinking that it would be a lot closer. In fact, you were right in thinking that Coco had a great chance because she ended up taking that chance and winning it. But where was I going with that, Kira? Where was I going with that? That's right. I know what I was going to say. So if you didn't know anything about their head-to-head and you just saw the way the two players played on Sunday, you'd be thinking, well, Coco's the better player right now. And Coco has had some pretty good Asian form, obviously picking up her biggest title of the year with that 1,000 title in, I'm going to say Wuhan, I think it was, where she beat what's her name? The Czech girl. My mind's gone blank. You'd think I would know this. Mukova, of course. Thank you.
It wasn't Wuhan, I don't think, but
it wasn't Wuhan, was it? Where was it then? It was a 1,000, though, wasn't it?
They call it the China Open. I know that, but I can't remember where.
Oh, okay. One of the other Chinese cities, but whatever. She's picked up a 1,000 title. She's actually one of the players, probably along with Qin Wen and along with Arena, who's sort of coming into this tournament in somewhere between decent and very good form, and also having the right amount of matches. She's probably not, struggling physically because she's sort of at this point of the season. She's not overplaying herself almost in that respect. And she's probably playing better than she was during the North American part of the season, unlike last year when she was obviously on a tear at that stage. But yeah, if you didn't know anything else, you'd think, well, Coco's probably going to win this match. But we know how those two generally perform on the court. I'm still going to go lean Iga, to be honest with you, because of that head-to-head. But I do think it'll be a lot closer than the large majority of those matches, which have often been very comfortable wins for Iga. But I do think I'm just watching Barbora serve there. Some pretty tentative looking serves from her, but fingers crossed she's less tentative when the competition actually gets underway, which we'll be doing in a couple of minutes as they're practicing serves. What are your thoughts on this encounter anyway, between Pegula and Krejcikova?
If we were talking about a fully fit Krejcikova, I think we'd be talking very differently. I still think she was probably really struggling yesterday. I don't know if she's going to look any better today or whether she might start today as she finished yesterday, which would be a real shame. So in that case, I think Pegula will find it really easy. If she is looking good, then I kind of expect it to be similar to yesterday. I think Krejcikova could get a great start and then sort of fade away as the physicality comes in.
Yeah, right. I was a little bit surprised by Pegula and her performance on Sunday against Coco. I think she was down an early break in the second set. She got it back on serve, and I thought, okay, here we go. I think we may well go to a third set here. And obviously with their head-to-head generally favouring, largely favouring Pegula, albeit it's 4-2 now rather than 4-1. And I actually had Pegula and Swiatek emerging from this group, and I think I had Sabalenka and Zheng emerging from the other group in terms of pre-tournament predictions. What were you thinking in terms of these two groups before the action got underway?
Before it, I was thinking Sabalenka and Zheng. Yeah, that felt pretty natural. And then I went Swiatek and Goff.
Okay, well, you're looking good with that in terms of my Pegula optimism and pessimism regarding Coco. Certainly, that is how it's looking with those two obviously having won their first matches, and Zheng, of course, getting her campaign very much underway yesterday. Rybakina, I think, has been confirmed as being effectively out of the tournament after Sabalenka winning yesterday against Paolini. And basically it's a shootout now so that's the really exciting match in terms of the tournament. It's a shootout really between Zheng and Paolini as to who will progress, because the winner of that will obviously go through and the loser will go out. And yeah, I'm leaning towards Zheng in that one because I think, again, her form post US Open has been very, very good, and she's obviously playing a lot of tennis. As I've got things getting underway, I reckon, because I'm normally behind when I'm watching on this particular channel in Germany, I've just got 15 love and Pegula's serving right now down the tee.
Yeah, no, about the same actually.
All right, let's share the score and let's see how that pans out. We've had 2 unreturned serves. I'm probably the first thing I'm looking for is that kind of, how physical is Barbora prepared to go? I've seen, I think, 3 shots now into the net, and it's not a great start from her. Whether that's like I say, there was a doubt. She was the last person to arrive in Riyadh, and there were doubts about her coming into the tournament, whether she might even be a late withdrawal.
Yeah, I mean, we've already had people suspecting that Rybakina was going to pull out during, and people think Krejcikova might not play the rest of her matches. It's a bit of a shame for the finals to be like that, but I suppose it's what happens at the end of the year.
It is often the case, as we enter this part of the season, as Pegula does hold to love. So it's over to you, Barbora. And as I say, particularly, I'm very keen to see how she serves. I'm going to dip out for a few minutes, Kira, but I'll never be too far away.
Yeah, just to answer some of the comments. You do commentary for all WTA matches? Pretty much a lot of them. A lot of them, let's say. Maybe not every single one, but you'll often find us if there's a WTA match on, then you can find us, and we're glad you found the channel too. Please make sure you do subscribe. So Krejcikova getting underway with serve, and like John said, we should be sort of really looking out for how she's serving. It was the serve day before yesterday, where you could see she was holding her back and struggling. Just into a backhand-to-backhand rally there. Pegula gets a net cord, and Krejcikova does not even run to get it. So that might not be a good sign. Follows up with an ace, which is a better sign. It's good. I think it's going to take a bit of time in this match to see how much Krejcikova's got left physically. We're not going to know straight away. Another ace. Maybe that's the tactic. If she just serves a load of aces, then she maybe doesn't have to move too much, which is helpful. And as we've got on the screen right now, you can see that Paolini and Irani lost their doubles earlier in a 10-point tiebreak. So only just. And won the first set 6-1. So Dabrowski and Routliffe must have really upped their game. Lucia feels like Krejcikova has an edge today. Okay, I like that. I suppose it's hard to tell when you're watching two players who've lost their first matches. Sometimes it can be a bit hard to tell who's going into it feeling better, who's going into it struggling with the last loss. Two very different losses, of course, because Goff really did just move through Pegula quite easily, and Iga did not move through Krejcikova very easily. It's 40-30 now, by the way, in this Krejcikova first service game. But she double faults on her game point. So we have our first deuce of the match. In terms of winning the tournament, who did we tip to win? Please let me know who you tipped to win. I would say the most boring answer in the world, Sabalenka. Not boring because of Sabalenka, don't get me wrong. Her tennis is far from boring at the moment. But she's a pretty common choice, shall we say, for the winner of this tournament. I think it's hard to see anyone else coming very close, even, to be honest. Krejcikova there just making Pegula move, and then a lovely inside-in forehand, which is a winner, gives her the advantage. Yeah, Nasia said Arina Sabalenka as well. I'd love to know if anyone didn't say Arina Sabalenka actually, and why. Because I imagine you can make a case for somebody else. Probably, as Nasia says, Zheng. Probably Zheng is the one that I would make a case for, if not Sabalenka. Just because she looks very good to me. And I think she's only going to get better as the tournament progresses if she gets through Paolini. Krejcikova did hold that service game, only one deuce required, and Pegula now is serving. And again, I just think Krejcikova looks a little bit ropey on these returns at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. Just thinking about that Coco Iga match later, I think it is important to recognise, you know, regardless of that head-to-head, which obviously is a big factor, but I do think there's a point at which that head-to-head gets so sort of difficult for Coco, you know, 11-1, that it sort of starts becoming like oh well, this is, people don't expect anything from me here, so I can do something with that. And I feel like Coco's that sort of player where, you know, she lives on low expectations from people, that almost, as she says, pours fuel on her fire. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether Iga starts as she finished yesterday, which would make it a lot harder. Bit of a wild forehand there from Krejcikova gives Pegula the hold 2-1. Oh yes, I do have a podcast. Thanks, John. It's with Jerome, who I'm sure a lot of you know from here, and we chat to various players. There's Jerome. We chat to various players from the ATP and WTA, mostly challengers. Oh, he's a Stoke fan, but we like him anyway, you know. No, I'm joking. But yeah, we interview quite a few players from the ATP and WTA tours. We actually haven't had a woman on the podcast yet, which, as you can imagine, I'm not very happy about, but we are trying. But yeah, our latest episode, Marcus Willis, was really fun. As you may or may not know, Marcus Willis is a doubles player who's doing ridiculously well on the Challenger Tour at the moment, and also is just a really fun player to watch. He's brilliant, and that translates into his interviews as well, because he's just very fun up to talking about anything. Ooh, that's a great question. If I could interview any WTA player outside the top 50 or top 100, who would it be? Oh, and you could show me the rankings. That would be so helpful. Thank you so much. So after the sit down, Krejcikova is now serving again. Pegula getting through her service games quickly might give her a bit of confidence here. Okay, well, I mean, I'm not going to count Naomi Osaka because that doesn't count. But obviously, yeah, there we go. Yeah, exactly. I can't have Naomi, and that's correct. But if, yeah, I mean, obviously, I would. No, not yet. Camilla Osorio, I think. She's incredibly interesting to me, and her story from Colombia and everything. I'd be really interested to hear from her more about her tennis sort of story. Nasia saying Zeynep Sonmez would be interesting. Got her first WTA title. Yes. That was a really nice win. Really pleased for her. I think she's been, grafting for that for a long time. And also, again, like you say, I think players from countries who aren't known for tennis is something that makes an interview more interesting to me, because I like to find out, how that journey started, when it's not something like, oh, well, I'm Spanish and I watched Rafa Nadal grow up, But yeah, no, Naomi doesn't quite fit with the podcast, I'll be honest. That said, if she did want to come on the podcast, I'm sure we could fit her in for some reason. Emerging talents, unsung heroes. We'll find a way. We'll change our motto if she wanted. Another double fault from Krejcikova there at 40 love. So 40-15, but she's still pretty comfortable in this service game for now. And she gets it. So 2-all. So Krejcikova holding her own in the early stages of this match. Not looking completely gone physically, as I, worried she might after her match against Swiatek, sorry. So that's promising, at least. We look like we're going to get a decent match here today. She's hitting some really powerful cross-court forehands at the moment, Krejcikova. Pegula doing her best to defend and then sort of going on the counter-attack with an inside-out forehand that Krejcikova puts in the net. I'd love to know what people think about Krejcikova obviously getting her place in these finals because of her Wimbledon title. And, perhaps her results over the whole year don't necessarily reflect the same sort of consistency and whatever it might be on the tour. Do people think slam winners should get an automatic place in WTA finals, or should it just be top 8? And if somebody wins a slam but doesn't keep up the consistency, they shouldn't be there. I'd be interested to hear what you think about that. I believe if it wasn't Krejcikova, it would be Navarro. Is that right? Yeah. Who obviously has shown a lot of consistency this year. See, I knew if I brought up the question, I'd have to say what I thought, but I still wasn't ready. Pegula, by the way, really storming through this service game. 40 love at the moment. Nice forehand, though, from Krejcikova to make it 40-15. I think Krejcikova winning Wimbledon was very impressive. And I can understand why they would give slam winners an automatic place. Because you've won a slam, that comes with perks, and it should. Part of me does think that the year-end final should be the 8 players who have done the best over the course of the year. So I think if I had to choose, I see the arguments for both, but if I had to choose, I would probably say I think it should probably be just the top 8 at the end of the year get in, regardless of slams. Myself, but I do understand why they would give slam winners an automatic place. Krejcikova trying to get back into this service game at 40-30, but a bit of a wild cross-court forehand goes out there, so Pegula gets the job done 3-2.
Yeah, I'm sure Emma Navarro would agree with you, Kira. I think good news from Barbora is that, it's a match so far. I mean, the way the first 5 or 6 points went, I think the first 5 all went the way of Pegula, and there wasn't a huge amount of physicality from Barbora's side of the net. But that has been allayed for now. We'll see if she does end up fading a bit like she did against Iga.
By the way, just in terms of Iga, of course, she has changed her coach since we last spoke a few weeks ago. Well, she changed her coach a few weeks ago, and we haven't spoken for a couple of months, I think. Any thoughts on that, Kira?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised by her letting go her previous coach. I didn't expect it, but could still understand it. It sounded, it's hard because we're all reading between the lines of that sort of statement that she put out, and it sounded a bit more like he was wanting a break rather than anything else from maybe the travelling. But regardless, I was a bit surprised. I don't think it's a bad timing though, because I do think it's a good time for her to have a bit of a change in coach, a bit of a change possibly to her game in places. I think it'll be we'll see maybe the impact of it more in the new year, and we'll see how that might have an impact. But yeah, I think it seems like a good fit. I think of Naomi Osaka and Iga Świątek as quite similar characters in many ways, and he's obviously worked well with Naomi in the past, so I sort of think that might be a good fit.
I think if there's a surprising element, it's not so much the for me anyway, not so much the change, as I'm just seeing Krejcikova put a smash away at the beginning of this service game for her. Actually, I'm probably more surprised that Naomi let Wim go. You know, given the efforts she took or her team took to get Wim back on her team, if you like, because remember it was about a year ago pretty much that a very upset Qin Wenjing, because that's who Wim had left to join forces with Naomi. You know, there was a lot of effort involved. I mean, normally we would talk about, in football terms, extricating one particular manager from a club, if you like, and in very similar circumstances. So she was obviously very keen to get Wim back on board, and they'd had a lot of success in the past. And, you know, Kinwen was a little bit upset about how that happened, but the efforts with which she made to get Wim on board, I was a bit surprised that she let him go so quickly again, you know, about 10 months, let's say, into their renaissance. That was probably the surprising element. Once Iga had made her choice, and she also mentioned in that statement that she was keen to get an international coach, if you like, rather than a Polish one, Wim was one of the sort of obvious candidates, if you like, given that he was free. Anyway, Barbora now at 30-15. I will dip out again and let you focus back on the match.
Yeah, she's handling her service games well at the moment. Krejcikova, Pegula not getting much of a look in, apart from one deuce on that first Krejcikova service game. Just to return to Nasia, returning to whether slam winners should qualify or not, you think it's fair? They still need to be in the top 15. Yeah, I can understand that. I definitely don't think it's unfair that she's here. She's earned it by winning a slam. But yeah, it just feels a little bit strange to me that it's not just top 8, full stop. But a slam win shows you have the game to win against top players on the biggest event, and it's evident the way Krejcikova played against Iga. Very true. Very, very true. And I definitely don't think Krejcikova looks out of place in this lineup at all. That's just not true. She is up there with the best of them. It's just a shame that she wasn't able to keep up a lot of consistency this year, and some of that was injuries as well. So it's not necessarily her fault. But yeah, it's a difficult one. Krejcikova 40-30 now on this service game. Tries a serve down the tee, just long, so second serve. Goes for a body serve this time, but that was long too. Double fault. So we are at another deuce. I find it quite funny that they've got the lighting on in here, which I know they do in all indoor tournaments, but where I can't really see the crowd because I'm trying to look to see how much crowd there is even. but they sort of they hide them from you, which does make me laugh a bit. Oh, lovely forehand from Krejcikova there at deuce. Pegula without a visor. It's funny, I didn't even notice. That's weird. That totally went over my head. But yeah. Now that I'm looking at her, of course she looks a bit weird without a visor. Of course she does, because she always wears one. But I hadn't even noticed. Okay, advantage Krejcikova here. Serves down the tee. Block return from Pegula. Krejcikova goes for the cross-court forehand, but long. Back to deuce. That's the first thing I picked up. No mind. Clearly, you're more observant than I am, Alex, because I can't believe I didn't notice that. She always has a visor on. It's really interesting. I think that should be one of the questions from the interview at the end. I want to know why. What's different? Why no visor? Krejcikova serving at deuce here. Unreturned, so advantage Barbora. One thing I really noticed about her in the match against Iga was all the aborted ball tosses that Krejcikova had. It was happening a lot. And I've noticed it a few times already in this match as well. She does. Oh, there's another one as I talk about it. Thank you for proving my point. She does have a lot of aborted ball tosses. Her ball toss is quite high. I imagine that contributes to a struggle a bit. But she did also, against Iga, get a time violation warning for just throwing the ball up in the air with no real intention to hit a serve. So, yeah, it's difficult to see if it's a time-wasting thing or just struggles with the ball toss a little bit. Into the net from Krejcikova, so another deuce. I hadn't seen the Andy Murray lob comment. That's a good one. First serve in the net from Krejcikova. Second serve, Pegula goes long. I do feel like Pegula could be returning these serves a little bit better. There's nothing. I suppose she's going body, which is working on Pegula a little bit. But yeah, she's disappointed there, Pegula. She knows she should do better. At least get these returns in the court. Oh, that's a very interesting poll. 50-50. I don't think I've ever seen a talking tennis poll at exactly 50-50 for who will win. Well, I haven't voted in that poll, and I would vote Pegula, so I would skew that 50-50, but it looks nice for now. So Krejcikova does hold with some serving that Pegula was really struggling with. So Pegula's serving now at 3-3. Hits a relatively simple backhand into the net. Love 15. Oh, that's a brilliant return from Barbora Krejcikova. Great sort of step round, hit the forehand, inside out, just beautifully placed. No chance for Pegula to do anything about that. Makes it love 30. And she should take some confidence from her last service game because Pegula's not handling them incredibly well, even though there are juices. Oh, she sort of went for the same thing there on the backhand. Maybe not the best shot she could have played there on the return from Krejcikova. 15-30. Hi, Dave. Thanks for joining us. Oh no. I think Barbora must have seen John's comment about her arriving in this match, and she got a bit shy. She's stopped hitting her returns in the court even to this point. Although that one was really good length to basically on Pegula's feet. She doesn't deal with it well, and we have our first break point, I believe, in this match, and it's for Krejcikova. Lovely forehand down the line from Krejcikova, but they're still rallying. And she puts her backhand in the net, so deuce. Breakpoint saved by Pegula. As for whether Pegula's playing better today, unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the Goff Pegula match, so I'm not qualified to tell you whether she is. I will say she's not playing brilliantly as of yet.
I'd say it's quite similar. She just feels a bit, and this felt like it the other day, she just feels like she's not quite there. What I was going to do before I made this comment, but I've already joined to respond to what you just said, or to the question, because I have seen both matches, is I was just going to check to see how much tennis Pegula has played this year compared to the other 7 players. Because bearing in mind that Iga hasn't played since the US Open, as I see her put a backhand into the net and look pretty forlorn and frustrated as Barbora does get the break to lead 4-3, because it feels like, bearing in mind, you know, we all know how little tennis Barbora has played. I mean, I think Barbora has won more than half her matches this year at Grand Slams. Yeah. And those matches before this tournament, I'm going to say that she played less than 20 matches in the whole year, Barbora, but it certainly isn't that many, whatever way you look at it. Iga's missed a chunk of the season since September. It feels like Pegula may have played more tennis than anyone else at these finals, and maybe that's why we're seeing her look a little bit jaded.
Yeah, she's especially played a lot more recently. Of course, she had this sort of break during the clay season. Pegula,
oh, yes, she did. Yes, I forgot about that. So that might mean that actually you're right. Yeah, because she had that injury, didn't she? That basically, ruled her out of the French Open. I will say this. I think I remember her releasing a statement at the time saying something along the lines of basically it was touch and go for the French Open, but probably given her prowess or lack of it or pedigree, let's use the word pedigree on clay, that made the decision for her a little bit easier to go, you know what, skip the clay season from that point onwards and see you on the grass. And of course, when she did emerge on the grass, she was up and running with that win in Berlin, albeit that, what did she do at Wimbledon this year? Because she feels like she should have been a candidate at Wimbledon, bearing in mind, how everyone was. Oh, she lost to Wong in the second round after beating Kruger in the first. That defeat had slipped me by, actually. Bearing in mind, she should have been a candidate, or bearing in mind the way the players were falling, so much so that we ended up having a Paolini-Krejcikova final. Pegula should have really been there or thereabouts, because Iga's, often struggled on that surface since winning, obviously, the junior Wimbledon title. And Rybakina wasn't quite at it 100%, hence her loss to Barbora in the semi-final. Sabalenka's absence through injury. Coco's inconsistency on that surface too. And Pegula had beaten Coco, of course, in Berlin. So really, the signs were there for a Pegula run. But anyway, she obviously had that. Oh, she's looking very frustrated there as she throws the racket on the floor. It wasn't a racket smash. I saw it. It was actually, talking of which, that happened against Coco as well. She did a sort of a throw.
It nearly hit her in the face, though. So she.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah. Do you remember Rafa getting a bloody nose about 2 years ago? It was quite embarrassing for him, because I think. Do you remember the incident I'm talking about against Fournier?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, by the way, I felt it as well. I'm feeling it now. I'm not even watching it. As the racket bounced up in his face, and
it was awful, wasn't it? I hated it.
Yeah. But anyway, she's cutting her quite fast. And these conditions, by the way, should suit her. Indoor, pretty quick from what we understand. Pegula against Swiatek, which obviously is going to be coming in a couple of days. Pre-tournament, I was thinking, you know what, this is far from an Iga favourite situation, because Iga against Pegula on a quick court, I remember seeing it in Sydney, I'm going to say, at the beginning of last year, and Pegula won pretty comfortably. And of course, Pegula has beaten her recently at the US Open. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is not the same Pegula that I'm watching right now from the US Open.
Definitely not, no. And Krejcikova aces her. So the doubts that I brought to this show, at least pre-match, regarding Barbora, actually seem to be occurring more on the Pegula side. I was a little surprised with how Pegula faded so quickly in that second set in particular. I mean, she got it back on serve, and I'm going to say it was about 2-2, and then Coco won the last 4 games pretty comfortably. Coco, by the way, was striking the ball very well. And again, in terms of it being a quick court, I did write in the live chat earlier that, that probably neither her or Iga would like it. But actually, she was striking the ball so early. Talking of which, that's a lovely return from Barbora Krejcikova.
Yeah, and Pegula just looking a little bit defeated to me rather than anything else,
Yeah.
which is quite strange from her this early on. It's a breakdown.
Yeah, she's just cutting a very frustrated figure. I mean,
it's a lovely down the line winner from Krejcikova.
yeah, perfect margin on that. She got that chop return back with a decent amount of depth. And then she does so again. I thought Pegula had gone long there. Oh, she has gone long there, though.
It looked long the first time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. I thought it was 2 very similar forehands. One that obviously clipped the line rather than went out, but the second one did go out. And now we've got 3 set points.
Yeah.
This has got away from Jessica very, very quickly from 3-3. She saved one of them, though, with I was going to say unreturnable, but that's probably being a bit generous to Barbora.
I think that's a bit generous.
Yeah, it's an expression that just came out rather than oh, hang on a second, she could have made that return.
Yeah, no, I get you.
It wasn't a John Isner serve, that's for sure. Oh, dear. She's trying that dink drop shot from a short ball, and it didn't work, and Barbora takes the first set 6-3.
Yeah.
So I was thinking pre-match that it's even if Pegula won, I was thinking it's going to be tricky for her because she's going to play Iga in the last match, and it won't be in her hands, bearing in mind that she lost to Coco in straight sets. But actually, we could be seeing, and of course I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but we could be seeing a shootout as well between Barbora and Coco. I mean, I'm already assuming that Coco loses, but as I said earlier, that's far from certain today against Iga. But if that was to be the case, then that's nice for the tournament. I like these sort of shootouts with a bit of clarity, because so often it's can be a bit confusing with just watching Iga warming up now. But yeah, we've obviously, the reason I'm mentioning that is we have got a shootout between Paolini and Zheng in the other group. But then we have a dead rubber in terms of Rybakina being out.
Yeah.
If Arena, though, is pretty much certain to top the group, she probably is, having won her 2 matches in straight sets. So, yeah, I'm just wondering if there is any. Of course, there's points on the line, and maybe there's an equation for Elena to try and be particularly motivated. I'm looking at Coco with her team. By the way, I actually don't even know the makeup of her team. I know she's no longer got Brad Gilbert with her, obviously, since the US Open, but
no, on my screen we've just got a very, very close up of Tim Henman. So
Tim Henman. Oh, in terms of he's in the stadium. Oh, there's Daniel Collins, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, so she's like the second, or she might even be first alternate, because I don't think Emma Navarro travelled. So does that make her first or second alternate? She's one of the alternates anyway. But yeah, in terms of the makeup of Coco's team, I'm not sure. Did she get a full-time replacement for Brad, or you're not sure, like me?
I feel like I've not seen that.
Yeah, right. It's certainly if she has got someone. I mean, she's probably got a team of sorts, but she's obviously not got a high-profile coach with her. I think we.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I haven't seen like the big announcement like
Tim,
Swiatek.
when you saw Tim Henman, was that in the studio or in the stadium?
No, he's in the stadium, and they give him this little tiny camera, and he puts it right next to his face.
Ah, I know the kind of thing you mean. Yeah, yeah.
Bless
So
him.
they kind of go to him, at the end of that set and get his thoughts. Okay. Oh, Pegula.
Oh.
Because Barbora, it was a kind of a repeat of that set point that we saw before.
Yeah.
And this time Barbora executes the drop shot better, but sort of too deep, if you like, because Pegula tried to do that little dink over the net on set point, and unfortunately for her, it clipped the top of the net and came back her side. Hence, Barbora won that first set. Barbora decides I'm not going to take as many risks as Jessica did and make sure I get it over the net. But as a result, Pegula had a very winnable backhand cross-court pass, but unfortunately she put it out. However, she has got to 15-30.
There isn't a visible serve clock here, is there?
Oh, that's
Or is there?
No, maybe not. Maybe not. I'm now looking around. I don't see one, but I will keep an eye out. Ah, Jessica. If she can summon the confidence, if you like, and the determination, she could easily get back into this match, because I still think Barbora's a long way from 100%.
Yeah. She looked incredibly good in the back end of that first set, but that was more Jessica making her look good, really.
Yeah, she's just aced as well. That was a perfectly placed down the tee. Quite a few Americans in the live chat, but I guess there's nothing else happening in the US today, so why not tune into Talking Tennis?
Exactly. We are the most interesting thing happening in America today.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, another ace from Barbora. That was gorgeous.
Yeah, to get herself out of the hole of being 15-30 down, she ends up holding.
Hi, Ghosty, by the way. Hope you're well.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a nerd vibe to Barbora. She's quite funny on social media.
Oh, she's brilliant.
Yeah, she responds to fan accounts and yeah. I guess I took a small risk by mentioning that, and what's
small risk?
A small risk by mentioning what's not the nerdy thing, but the
no, I know. I'm saying I don't think it was a small risk.
Yeah, maybe it's a big risk. Yeah, right. Yeah. Given the lively nature of the chat sometimes. Anyway, Barbora holds. So, yeah, of course, the way the match went the other day for Pegula. I mean, also losing in straight sets to Coco, but winning just 5 games, bearing in mind the head-to-head. It was it's very easy to say, Kira, but it was a bit of both. Coco's forehand wasn't a huge issue like it often is. Occasionally there was a couple of sprayed forehands, but the forehand generally was okay. But the backhand was just out of this world at times, striking the ball so early on the rise and hitting some winners from very neutral positions. So a lot of praise for Coco there. But Pegula was looking quite similar to how she does today as well. She was getting quite frustrated towards the end of the match, and she's already loved 30 down, and there's a forehand that, yeah, she would expect to make that 9 times out of 10. That's more like it, Jessica.
Yeah, that was a nicely done forehand down the line.
Ghosty, regarding the numbers, I'm not surprised, not hugely surprised by the numbers. I mean, we are looking at a part of the world that hasn't exactly got a great tradition in tennis. Am I right as well in thinking somebody posted some ticket prices and they were exceptionally cheap? Double fault, Jessica.
That's 2 this game.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Love 15 was a double fault.
Okay. Okay. Camille, and if you know Camille on Twitter, if you don't, you probably would have seen her on your timeline without even realizing. She's a bit of a Jessica Pegula fan, and she did tweet, I think, during the Coco match that at least she was a big fan of backhand into the net, 2-love, Barbora Krejcikova. And she didn't have to do a huge amount in those last 2 points to win that game. Well, there was a double with that 3 points, 3 of those 4 points, 2 double faults, and maybe even all 4 points came as a result of unforced errors, actually. Because I'm remembering a forehand into the net, I'm remembering that backhand into the net, and then 2 double faults. So, yeah. I'm not saying I would have won that game, but there's a chance. There's a chance. I'm not one of these. I'm not one of these crazy people that subscribes to the notion that they would win a game against a professional tennis player on either tour.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But maybe I'd have had a chance in that game. Pegula would have had to not known that I was not a professional or of any decent standard, because she's not going to hit double faults against somebody who's going to struggle to return the serve. Let's say that. You know, if she doesn't realize, if she thinks that, you know, I'm an ATP player with some points, let's say,
she's going to serve,
hit those double faults perhaps. But if she knows that I'm an amateur, she's just going to make sure she gets those serves in. Oh, dearie me.
A lot of the misses are like halfway up the net as well.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, that's the last 3 points that she's netted, or the last 3 shots that she's netted, they've all, been dumped into the net rather than, hit the tape and come back.
Yeah.
And maybe that was a tricky one. I mean, she's obviously standing quite close to the baseline as Barbora aces her again. Maybe we'll find out something post-match, that there may be an illness thing or a physical thing from Jessica.
Yeah.
But we're at 30 all here. If Pegula now is talking about your inner Rafa, but maybe Pegula needs to summon her inner Iga right now. It's not a double break, but it could be 3-love.
Yeah, absolutely. She's very capable of doing that. I'm not used to seeing her look quite this defeated at this stage.
Exactly,
that's not really normally her style.
Right, exactly. Yeah, she's normally very strong mentally and physically too.
Yeah.
In fact,
which is why I think your comment about maybe we'll find something out afterwards is maybe more true, just because I feel like the sort of attitude out there isn't what I expect.
Yeah, naming no names, Yelena Ostapenko. Yeah. Yeah, she's kind of the opposite of Yelena. I mean, both in terms of the way she plays the game, but also in terms of approach. Let's say you don't very often see her have an off day. We see her go out of tournaments and stuff, but generally she's possibly the most consistent player on the WTA tour in the last 2 to 3 years. Bearing in mind the ups and downs of an Ostapenko or Garcia, for example, and bearing in mind how they play the game, both those two players. But then even when we talk about the absolute, upper echelons of the tour, whether it be Elena, Arena, Coco, and Iga, they've all had dips, let's say, but there haven't been many dips from Jessica in the last 3 years.
No, it's basically just slams for her, isn't it? I feel like everywhere else she...
Yeah, but even slams, it was a regular run to the quarters.
But yes, that's true. Yeah.
There was no, although Wimbledon I highlighted earlier, but there's not many early departures from slams.
Right.
You're shocked by it. She has got a break point here, though. And this might just be the boost she needs. But excellent first serve from Barbora, which does seem to have been the case on a few occasions today when she's needed it. I almost wonder, I don't know what Pegula is saying to herself right now, but she could be sort of in that sort of, oh, could she not have dumped a second serve in there rather than a first serve? It's funny when players get annoyed about the level of their opponent.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mickelson's good at that.
Yeah, well, I was just going to mention, that's exactly who I was about to mention. And maybe I've told you this before, Kira, but yeah, he was lamenting the fact that Denis Novak was playing like Novak Djokovic earlier this year. In a challenger in Portugal. We've got another break point here for Pegula. Oh, definitely, Ghosty. I'm all here for inconsistency too. Okay, now Pegula has got that second serve that perhaps she yearned before. Oh, I thought that was going to be a return winner, but it must have just clipped the net.
Oh, so did I. I thought that was brilliant.
The way both players have paused, so it's a second serve let, but Pegula ripped a return on that let, but it was barely noticeable, the net cord. But we're into the rally here. It was a decent return from Pegula. Oh, a shank from Barbora, and we have got the break of serve. Now we are following a pattern that we saw against Coco, almost an identical scenario in that Coco won the first set. I think it was 6-3. Yeah, it was 6-3. She won the first set. Coco went up an early break and Pegula got the break back. But that break back proved to be a false dawn. Let's see if that is the case today. But we're on serve anyway, so that's good news for Pegula. Yeah. Not saying I'm not sure I saw that coming after the way she lost her serve so tamely in the previous game. I was wondering if we might just see Barbora cruise to the finish line, but we are back on serve.
Yeah, there's part of me that does sort of think Krejcikova might pull off the immediate break back, but
yeah, like Coco did, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think if we'd seen plenty of signs of life from Pegula, we probably would think game on right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But even the break of serve there was no Rafa style come on, pumping of fists and
no.
On the
I miss the Rafa come on.
Yeah, on the yeah, me too. Yeah, on the WTA, I'm thinking probably Sabalenka is the one, maybe the most sort of vociferous in that sort of Rafa nature. In this circumstance, let's say you're down a set and a break, but you get that break back. I've seen Rafa down a double break in a set and a double break, if you like, and pumping fists when he's got the break, one of the breaks back. Whereas, Iga's a bit calmer. Naomi too, probably.
I'd maybe go Coco Gauff.
Yeah, okay.
But maybe only with American crowds. She's very good with.
There's probably bunches of pictures of Arena, basically, with that. I think she's got the one pushed out like that kind of thing.
Classic.
Yeah.
No, she is probably the top one.
Oh, Barbora goes long there, so it's 15 all. I'm going to dip out for a few minutes, but I'll be back shortly.
No problem. We're 15 all in this Pegula service game. If she can consolidate the break here, then that might help her mentally as well, because obviously she wasn't able to do that against Coco. So not looking great though. Barbora, great length on that forehand cross court. Makes it 15-30. Sabs looked good against Jasmine, but I thought Paolini should have taken the second set. Yeah, I was only able to watch the first set and a half of that, unfortunately, so I didn't really see the last part. So difficult to say, but I did think Sabs looked good. That's a double fault from Pegula. Very cross as she swipes the ball away. And Krejcikova does get those 2 break-back points. Second serve again for Pegula. Interesting to see if she just tries to get this one in the court. Only just. That was a huge let cord, but she does get that let, so she gets another chance at this second serve. Oh, and it's long. Oh, she's really... Yeah, that was a total fall apart from Pegula in that service game, as we possibly predicted. And she's just stood now, hands on her hips, very unhappy.
Possibly, Kira?
Okay, maybe we did. So, much like the Goff match, Krejcikova now back on top at 3-1. Sorry, my voice. I'm going to cough. I'm going to mute myself as I cough.
I'm here to fill in. If you need to get some water as well, feel free.
No, it's okay. Don't worry. That's all good. Okay, 15-love to Krejcikova. Interesting to see if she can really get back into the dominance that we were seeing from her on her service games. Ghosty. I love On the Brink of Stardom. That's a great segue, Ghosty, into please do check out my podcast called On the Brink. It's not about me on the brink of stardom, but it is interviewing lots of ATP and WTA players on the brink of stardom. Most recent episode with Marcus Willis was very, very fun. Krejcikova then, her turn to do a double fault, 15-all. And yeah, Millhouse saying, first time ever seeing Pegula not wearing a visor. We were talking about that earlier and I had not even noticed, which is, I'm realising now, very poor from me. Speaking of very poor, that was a very poor forehand from Krejcikova into the net. And 15-30, so just as Pegula's looking pretty down and out after being broken back, she's got half a chance here on the Krejcikova serve. Marcus Willis of Wimbledon fame, indeed, and Challenger Tour fame. He's doing ridiculously well in doubles on the Challenger Tour. He's just reached a new career high of 81 in the world, and he's really knocking on the door for main draw Australian Open in January. So some good things to come from him. We talk about that with him. And yes, it's a podcast. It's me and Jerome. So I very much recommend it, Ghosty, if you're interested. On the Brink, it's called, Dave. There we go. Thank you very much, John. That's the one. You can find all the links in the bio. I really feel weird saying that. I'm not a social media person, but yeah, you can find the links there on the Twitter. Going back to the actual game, rather than my podcast, Krejcikova just sort of, I'm not sure what she's trying to do there, sort of lifts that forehand as if it's going to go past Pegula, but she's on it immediately. And a break point here that is ruined immediately by a Pegula return that hits the net. So we're back at deuce. It's a great serve from Krejcikova. It's gotten her out of trouble a couple of times so far in this match, and it continues to do so. Another ace. That's 10 aces for Krejcikova in this match, and 0 for Pegula. Oh, it looks like you've got the dream team later. Vance and Damien. That is a dream team, to be honest. I'm jealous of everyone that gets to watch that. I will be, unfortunately, busy. But yeah, definitely make sure you watch our live stream later of Goff and Swiatek with dream team Vance and Damien. Pegula puts that return in the net. So Krejcikova manages to avoid the breakback from Pegula this time and goes 4-1 up. And it does feel like it's really getting away from Pegula at this point. It'd be interesting to see if she can conjure up anything to sort of hold her next service game. But obviously they're at the sit down now. I'll just go through. Yeah, I missed the one about Pegula's movement. I totally agree that she has got great movement. We know that because she plays such a great defensive game when she needs to, but she does look slow. I know what you mean. It's weird because she does move very well, but for some reason also looks kind of slow. Whereas, when you're watching Coco Gauff, you're like, yeah, she's fast. But I think Pegula is too, just not not to look at. I think I'll have to ask Jerome whether he's serve and volley. I can't remember. I do think that would track. That would make sense. But I'll check with him. I imagine from the tone of that message that you're not necessarily enjoying Giovanni and Petri Peregr's ascendancy. I thought it was quite an impressive title the other day. I agree with Dave. But no, I think it's fair to say that there's a good amount of players on the tour who perhaps don't have a very high opinion of Zheng Qinwen. I've got no idea why. I'm not sure she has any idea why. But there seems to be a few that don't have a very good opinion of her. So, if there's some people she can find that maybe do, then she probably quite likes them. So that seems to be Iga at the moment. Pegula doing better in this service game so far, 30 love. Into, oh goodness, into a bit of a slightly longer rally as far as this match goes. It's not really a match of very long rallies. And Krejcikova does put that long. So 3 game points for Pegula in a much needed hold. Has that dropped in? Oh, it has. That's really unlucky for Pegula. A real sort of net cord from Krejcikova that just drops over the net. So 40-15. Even in these rallies in this game, as Pegula takes the game, she's still looking very frustrated, but maybe like she's not a bit of the pressure's off because she seems to have decided that this isn't necessarily going very well. And she was hitting a lot better in that game and serving better. I don't know if that's just a pressure off thing due to the score, but I still feel if she could raise her energy a little bit, she could cause Krejcikova some problems because I still think physically she's not quite on it. So forehand into the net from Pegula again, and like I said earlier, it's not marginal. It's really it's in the net. It's very much not going to go over at any stage. Nice backhand from Krejcikova there. 30 love. Another ace from Krejcikova. Is that ace number 11? Very impressive serving from her today, even regardless of Pegula's level. You've got to commend Krejcikova's serving. And Krejcikova does manage to hold to love there with some excellent serving as we hit the hour mark on this match. And they sit down at 5-2. Dave asking, do players wear mouth guards when on court? I swear Draper has and Barbora too. Oh, I don't know. I don't think I've ever noticed that. As we've already established today, I'm clearly not very observant. I haven't noticed any mouth guards when on court. Maybe someone else can illuminate us on that one. GMP has a little sister who's angling to make the tour. We have 2 Mpechi Pericars. Lovely. I missed the Damien comment earlier. Damien's energy is always high. It's just a different high energy, I would say, to maybe others. But I would say the energy is always high. I always feel calmer when I watch Vanch and Damien. So Pegula here serving to stay in this match at 2-5 and needs to perform like she did in her previous service game to have a chance of that, as she gets a backhand slice all wrong and goes long for love 15. Is that an ace or was it out? I think it was out. A second serve, Pegula. Once again, I'm trying to work out if she's made that. No, just out from Krejcikova on an inside-out forehand. So 15 all. I'm still trying to get a look at this crowd, but they're very determined not to let us see it, I suppose. Pegula hits an ace for 30-15. That's her first of the match. Although, body language-wise, you would think she hits double fault, I must say. Oof. Very long from Krejcikova on that forehand, so Pegula does have 2 game points. It always amazes me what we can get onto in the chat when talking tennis. 5 to 7-year-olds are annoying. Full stop. Krejcikova goes for the big return there, but doesn't manage to keep it in. So Pegula does hold serve, and over to Barbora to try and serve out this match. Beginning with, of course, another aborted ball toss. Slightly longer rally here, and Krejcikova goes for a backhand slice cross court, but puts it in the net. So love 15. So sorry, Ghost. I have no idea what age a middle schooler is. They could be 7 years old for all I know. Pegula really went for it on that backhand return. Then a great backhand down the line. Krejcikova scrambling here to stay in this point. Pegula puts a smash away, and it's love 30. She's not done yet, despite she looks very done. She's apparently not. I think the only reason I'm mentioning how done she looks is just because I'm not used to it from Jessie Pegula. I'm very used to a real fighter out there on the court, so I'm just surprised, which is why I'm mentioning it. Another aborted ball toss. I feel like I've seen a bit more talk about aborted ball tosses and whether they should be allowed and whatnot recently. I definitely think we should get rid of them. I don't think you should be allowed to do it. But that's probably just because I find it very annoying. Sixth to ninth grade, so 11 to 14. What do we call it? We don't really have a name for that sort of age, particularly. Maybe tweens, which is a terrible word, but maybe tweens. Yeah, I'd rather hang with a 7-year-old than an 11-year-old as well. Krejcikova has got this back to 30 all with another aborted ball toss. Lovely sort of scooped forehand there from Krejcikova. She's going to get the smash attempt and she puts it away. Sets herself up for a match point here against Pegula from love 30 down, which she's done well to come back from. I know you're making a joke, Ghosty, but genuinely, are you pro aborted ball tosses? Because I'd love to know your reasoning for that, but I think you're just making a joke. So either way, match point for Krejcikova here at 40-30, 5-3. First serve hits the net and then skids out of play. So Pegula gets a look at a second serve here. And Krejcikova, a bit of a wild forehand there, very long. Makes it deuce. And Pegula saves the first match point. Ah, yeah, middle school and high school, different schools. Here it's just all the way through, one school, lump them all in together. Oh, gorgeous wide serve there from Krejcikova. Pegula really stretched to try and get there, but still couldn't make it. So she sets up a second match point. Lovely serve down the tee. Pegula does manage to get it back, but then can't get back the resulting slice, and Krejcikova lets out such a roar at that win. I think that one meant quite a bit to her after probably really struggling with that Iga loss.
I think you're right. And pre-match, most of my concern was more on Barbora and what kind of performance we would see from her with the sleeve and with the way she faded against Iga. But in fact, she cruised today. She played well. She hit, I think it was 11 aces, at least according to the WTA website.
Yeah.
Those 11 aces largely were hit well, but there may have been one or two where you were thinking, how is Jessica physically? I mean, Jessica's now lost 2 matches, both in straight sets, winning 11 games across those 2 matches. As I said earlier in commentary as well, I would be interested to know if there is a physical issue on her side. But yeah, look at that delight. And by the way, Barbora winning in straight sets and losing the one match that she lost to Iga in 3 will certainly help her in terms of games won and percentages and those sets, etc. Bearing in mind, if you win 2 matches, let's say there are 3 players. If, for example, Coco wins today, and then Barbora beats Coco in the final match, there's a good chance if Iga then goes on to beat Jessica that you have 3 players all having won 2 matches. Not the most impossible of circumstances. And therefore, if you can lose your match in a tight way and win your match or matches in a comfortable way, if you follow, that could well stand her in good stead. So having lost just 6 games today, that will help her as they do a quick mic switch, because I think one of them wasn't working in terms of this on-court interview with Barbora right now. But yeah, coming back to this match, Kira, a lot more comfortable than we expected for Barbora, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I'd still think she was probably struggling a bit physically.
Yeah.
But sort of worked through it. And again, I said before, I think, her serving played a big part in that today. Whatever was happening the other end of the net with Pegula, not playing her best, Krejcikova was just hitting those serves incredibly well the whole time.
And just a pre-match tweet here from Jose Morgado. Well, Krejcikova is not going to be eliminated, not yet. If Swiatek and Krejcikova win, Swiatek will win the group and Pegula eliminated. Well, a Swiatek win would therefore mean Pegula's out, although having lost both her matches in straight sets, I think it's quite difficult to find a path for her to qualify, but I guess technically it's still possible. I did a quick thing, by the way, to just see how many matches they played this season. And actually, having felt like Pegula played a lot, I'd forgotten about that absence from the tour during the clay court season. Perhaps maybe you could just focus on the last 3 or 4 months, and therefore these stats would look very different in terms of Pegula probably being a lot closer to the top. But somebody such as Rybakina, by the way, we feel like we've missed her for lots of the time, but she has been to lots of finals. Certainly in the first half of the year, every tournament she played, she would go deep, i.e. Wimbledon semi-final, i.e. I think French Open quarterfinal, i.e. Stuttgart win, Miami final. Oh, hello. So when Rybakina was playing, she was going deep. So yeah, it's actually Coco who has comfortably played the most tennis throughout the year, with a total of 77 matches on the singles side. But she is looking good, certainly in terms of the way she played her first match. But yeah, just coming back to today, Krejcikova did what she had to do. Just having a quick look at here's some other stats. Krejcikova getting 67% of her first serve win inside, which really helped. 22 winners from Barbora is a kind of a standout, bearing in mind probably we associate Jessica with being a bit more of the aggressive player. Just 6 winners coming off the racket of Jessica. And just having 3 breakpoint opportunities, which she took 1 of those. But as you and I both pointed out at the beginning of that second set, just like Pegula did against Coco, she got that early break back, but it didn't really feel like a match at any stage, right?
No, not to me. Not to either of us. I don't think I think if she'd got that break back and like we said, a little bit of a come on, something sort of geeing herself up, I might have thought something different. But no, as it was, it didn't feel like even she felt she was back in anything.
Yeah, exactly. And just having a quick look at the group standings, I'm going to share these with you on the screen. But Barbora, obviously having played a match more than a couple of her opponents, she is currently at the top of the group, as it turns out. But of course, that will only be a couple of hours long, whatever happens in the Coco match. Here we go. You can see it on top of the screen here with Barbora there. They put her in first place. Because of maybe the number of sets won. I'm not quite sure how it works out generally, but basically winning in straight sets certainly will help you. And losing in straight sets certainly doesn't, hence my pessimism regarding Jessica's prospects. But yes, Iga and Coco still to come. And yeah, I believe if Iga does win that match, she will top the group. Mind you, if Coco wins it, I wouldn't be surprised if that puts her very much close to a place in the semi-finals. It's a little bit easier in football, I think, to sort of work out the permutations.
I think if Goff wins in straights, she's through.
Oh, I mean, you'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, whatever happens then in her final match. If Iga wins, then yes, I do think we'll be looking at a shootout, therefore, between Coco and Barbora. And the likelihood of Iga will obviously be a favourite. I just don't put her as big a favourite as I normally would. You know, if this was the Parisian clay and it was a certain part of the year where Iga was winning tournaments as only she can during that clay court season in particular, but even other parts of the year when she's doing pretty well, sort of post Australia and pre clay court season, that's a period of the year that she generally excels in as well. Remember that long unbeaten streak she had in 2022 during that period of the year, but not quite the same level of optimism for me. I do think Iga probably will prevail, but I think it'll be a tight win for her. And if she does, then it's a straight shootout between Barbora, Krejcikova and Coco Gauff. Listen, big thanks, Kira. I know we are at absolutely the limit of your time today, so thanks for joining us.
No, thank you very much for having me. It was great to be back.
Cool. And good luck with your college work for the rest of the day. And to everybody else, thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Give Kira a follow on all the socials. I have got your personal handle here saved somewhere. What are you at, Kira Hancox?
Yeah, just my name.
All right. You've obviously got in there. Either your name is not super common, at least in terms of social media, or you just got in there early. I'm not sure which of those two it was.
I think it's just not very common.
Right. But of course, you've also got your, just give us one more reminder on your podcast and also Twitter.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so On the Brink, if you find my Twitter, which is Kira Hancox, then you can find On the Brink pretty easily. I think it's my pinned tweet is the latest episode of Marcus Willis. So please do give that a look. Thanks, Ghosty.
Yeah, cool, everyone. And you're going to get a reminder of the drill once again. But cheers, everybody, and goodbye.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.